You've seen it happen. The arrogant one gets promoted. The manipulative one keeps the relationship. The loudest one dominates the room. Meanwhile, the kind and patient person is left confused. Narcissists don't win because they're better. They win because they understand power. Lena stands at the front of the conference room. Her slides are flawless. Her voice does not waver. She makes big promises about a product launch, never mentioning the missed deadlines, the warnings from her own team, or the late-night Slack messages that spelled out trouble months ago. The people in charge do not ask. They nod along, swept up by Lena's certainty. The polished pitch, the steady gaze, the sense that she knows exactly what she is doing, are the signals that matter most in this room. This is how the confidence illusion works. When someone projects unshakable certainty, our brains take a shortcut. We stop asking whether the facts back them up. We assume confidence equals competence, even when the record says otherwise. In Lena's case, the leadership team does not see the pattern of missed targets. They see a director in the making. She gets the promotion, and the story that spreads is one of vision and boldness, not the reality of broken promises. It is not just Lena. Across offices and industries, people who sound sure of themselves are rewarded. Workshops teach executive presence as if it is a skill more valuable than actual results. Voice, posture, and the ability to own the room become tickets to authority. When confidence is rewarded over substance, it is no surprise who rises fastest. The loud, the certain, the ones who never flinch, even when they are wrong. The rest are left wondering why doing the work is never enough. Marcus starts small. He asks if he can take the quiet corner by the window for just one call. "No problem," says the host. Next, it's a power strip. His charger won't reach. Then he needs the spare conference room for an unscheduled meeting. Each request lands as a minor favor, easy to grant, not worth a fuss. The host obliges, telling himself it's just good manners, just being helpful. But Marcus doesn't stop. By Friday, he's commandeered the main projector for his demo, cutting off the host's scheduled client pitch. The host's polite agreement has quietly become Marcus's blank check. This is how incremental entitlement works. The narcissist doesn't storm the gates. He tests them. Every time a small ask is met with silence or a nervous yes, it's logged as permission. The next request grows bolder. The agreeable, conflict-avoidant types, the ones who hate to say no, become the perfect targets. They rationalize each concession as simple kindness, not seeing the pattern forming. It's only later, when they're pushed out of their own space or left cleaning up someone else's mess, that the cost becomes clear. Most don't push back. They worry about seeming rude, making a scene, or being labeled difficult. But the pattern is unmistakable. What starts as a plug request ends with someone else running the room. 1 in 3 workplace harassment complaints begins with a so-called minor inconvenience. Nearly 3/4 of people who let early entitlement slide end up burned out or gone. The lesson is as uncomfortable as it is universal. Silence isn't just politeness, it's permission. And for someone like Marcus, that's all the invitation he needs. Sophia's story begins with a rush. The first week, Dylan is everywhere, texting her good morning before her alarm rings, sending bouquets to her office, planning weekends she hasn't even agreed to. He tells her she's special, the one he's been waiting for. Every message is a little louder, a little more certain, until it feels like the world is spinning around her. It's intoxicating, this flood of attention. But underneath, something else is happening. The more Dylan gives, the more Sophia feels pulled in, unsure whether she's falling in love or being swept away by the force of his certainty. Then, just as suddenly, The warmth vanishes. Calls go unanswered. Texts turn cold, then cryptic. When Sophia asks if something's wrong, Dylan replies with questions that twist her memory. "Didn't you say you wanted space? Are you sure I promised that?" The ground shifts. She rereads old messages, searching for evidence that she's not imagining things. Doubt creeps in. She wonders if she's too sensitive, too needy, too much. When Dylan finally returns with another wave of affection, the relief is overwhelming. She clings to the hope that the good version of him will stay this time. This is the cycle that traps people. The pattern is as old as power itself. Overwhelming praise, sudden withdrawal, and a slow drip of confusion that makes the target question their own reality. In romantic relationships, it's called love bombing and gaslighting. In Sophia's case, it escalates until she finds herself apologizing for things she never did, desperate to win back the person who once made her feel invincible. She's not alone. Nearly 4 in 10 people say they've been on the receiving end of this kind of emotional whiplash, and almost half have felt the sting of being suddenly discarded. The confusion isn't an accident, it's the point. The same tactics that can win over a partner can sway investors too. Charisma and certainty become weapons, whether the goal is love, loyalty, or $1 billion in funding. The result is always the same: a maze of hope, doubt, and longing, with the narcissist holding all the keys. Victor's name is everywhere. The charity walk was a group effort. 12 volunteers signed up, planning routes, calling sponsors, setting up tables in the rain. But when the glossy flyer goes out, only one face beams from the center. Victor, chief organizer. The press release quotes him alone. Social feeds light up with his name and his story. In the space of 2 days, his followers triple. Strangers call him inspiring. Local businesses offer him free coffee and ask him to speak at their next event. The people who actually did the heavy lifting are reduced to a single line, supported by our amazing team. This is the public reward. The status game doesn't just play out behind closed doors. It's decided in the open, where credit is currency and applause is power. Victor's move isn't a fluke. It's a pattern. The person who claims the spotlight, who acts as if they own the outcome, becomes the face everyone remembers. The rest become background noise, no matter how much work they did. In workplaces, these self-promoters don't just get attention, they get paid more. Leaders who make themselves visible, who take credit and never hesitate to broadcast their wins, earn bigger paychecks, faster promotions, and more sway. It's not about skill. It's about being seen as the hero, the visionary, the one who made it happen. The world loves a winner, even when the contest is rigged. The evil queen in fairy tales isn't just vain. She's obsessed with being the fairest, the most admired, the only one that matters. In real life, the crown goes to whoever grabs it first and holds it tight, leaving everyone else to wonder how the story got rewritten with them on the sidelines. Nina lowers her voice and tries again. "Would you mind turning that down? I am just trying to finish this report." Her coworker glances up, smiles, and says, "Oh, sure," but the video keeps playing, louder, if anything. Nina hesitates, then looks away, pretending not to hear. She tells herself it is not worth the trouble. No one wants to be the one who makes a scene over a laptop speaker. It is easier to swallow the frustration and focus on getting through the day. Most people handle conflict like Nina does. Soft words, careful phrasing, hoping politeness will smooth things over. But the result is always the same. Nothing changes. The person who crosses the line gets what they want, and the person who speaks up in a whisper gets ignored. In workplaces everywhere, nearly 3 out of 4 complaints about subtle intimidation are written in gentle, indirect language. I felt uncomfortable. I would appreciate a more respectful atmosphere. These soft requests are easy to brush off, and they usually are. When reporting is this careful, the odds of real resolution drop by almost half. The cost of being polite is not just frustration, it is silence that lets the pattern repeat. The story always ends at the same place. The person who cares the least about fairness gets their way, while the person who tells themselves they're above it all keeps the peace and loses ground. There's a quiet comfort in believing you're not like them. You don't play games. You don't stoop to their level. You're better than that, you tell yourself. But the truth is, refusing to engage isn't a mark of strength. It's the loophole that keeps the cycle running. Most people avoid conflict not because they're weak, but because they want to be respected, to stay on the high road, to be the reasonable one. In complaint after complaint, the language is gentle, almost apologetic. I'd just like a respectful atmosphere. That softness is easy to ignore. The person who pushes hardest gets what they want, and the person who tiptoes around the problem is left stewing in private. The only way out is a line drawn with no apology. No, I'm not doing that. Not a request, not a wish for kindness, just a boundary, clear and final. That's where the story can change, if you're willing to let it. Right now, every boardroom and dinner table rewards the bold over the careful. Narcissists don't just seize power, they count on your silence to keep it. As long as conflict feels more dangerous than surrender, the cycle repeats. The real question: how much longer will you let them write the rules? Share your thoughts below.